You're vocal again now. Welcome back. Oh man, I love the whole Calder lore kind of like look at how that looks. Calder and lore are like mashed together into one character, which I think is amazing.
That's a terrifying
Holy
series of thoughts.
shit. Holy shit, y'all. Like I knew this was going to be a great session. I did not plan this to be the way that it came out. Like, I had some plans, and some of them went into effect, and some of them didn't, but holy shit. Okay, we're going to go ahead and do some Q&A first. The first question came from Lookma No Scope and said, is this set in the world of Faerun or something else? Yes, it is set in the world of Faerun. I set all of my adventures in the world of Faerun because it is the world that I know the best. So yes, this is in Faerun. So Waterdeep and all those other places are indeed places.
Sword Coast.
Yeah,
Can
absolutely.
I add an addendum to your yes? It's in the world of Faerun.
Please do.
Yeah, it's in the world of Faerun, but we have no idea what time in the world of Faerun because time doesn't exist.
Yeah,
So it's there, but it may not be connected to the actual setting.
I am incredibly grateful to R.A. Salvatore for his Faerun novels. I'm also very grateful that I exist in the time that I exist, because if I had first learned about R.A. Salvatore when I was in my 20s or 30s, I would have thought it was lame as shit. Because, let's be honest, R.A. Salvatore's kind of a hack. He's kind of awful, and his stories are kind of shit. But when I was a teenager, holy fuck, that was my jam. That was the Drizzt novels, the Cleric Quintet, all of that was my jam. So yes, all of my campaigns are in that world unless directly specified otherwise. I feel like I'm a little bit low on volume. I'm going to move my microphone a little closer to me.
You've been low in volume in comparison to everybody all day.
It's fine. Now I'm a little bit better because the microphone is literally closer to my face.
Yeah.
So that was the first thing. Yes, it is in Faerun. I'm a big fan of the Forgotten Realms whole multiverse kind of thing. M and Gail, you two have been kind of tracking questions. What questions should we answer next?
So I have all the questions because I'm crazy, and Gail has asked all the questions because they're crazy.
Gail is also crazy.
Yeah. Let's start with the one not for me. Rob, you were answering question already, so we're going to ask you again. What the fuck?
With what?
Which
No, just what the fuck. We'll start there, and then there's an additional addendum to that. Start with answer, please. What the fuck?
This whole encounter, I wanted the social scene to be as dramatic as a combat, and it was, particularly because y'all failed your first two rolls. You failed the first two rolls in an encounter where 3 failures means that the dragon will attack you.
I internally predicted that before we ever started the encounter.
I wanna throw this out to Charlotte. I didn't do it.
It's fair. Maximum tension.
You failed the first 2 rolls in a 3 failure skill challenge, and I swear to God, I thought we were gonna throw. I thought we were gonna throw chops. I thought we were gonna go to death battle.
Mm-hmm.
And
I had my gear ready for if we went into initiative versus
holy
dragon.
shit!
I had my first 4 rounds of combat ready,
and I was mean. Let's be clear. I was mean in this encounter, and y'all, like, you pulled it out at the very, very last. Now, Gail asked specifically why offer up Meepo, and the answer is Meepo was always intended to be offered up as a free success if you needed it. And if that second to last roll, I don't remember who did the second to last roll, but if that second to last roll had failed, Meepo would have accepted. And Meepo would have offered to stay, and then I think we would have gone to initiative because I don't think any of you would be down with that.
That leads into the question for Calder Jeff.
Yeah. The question for Jeff is, what would Calder have done if Nightscale had decided to keep Meepo?
Would have immediately flung a fireball at the dragon's face.
Yeah, we
Just,
would.
it would have been, and with that great, it would have been something to the effect of, and with that great one, I offer you this final gift, fireball.
And that was.
I want to throw this out there. If Meepo had said yeah, sure, then I feel like Lore would have stepped in to stop Calder from doing the dumb, stupid shit. However that went down, whether or not it was like a knee getting taken out, is possible. It would have happened. Possibly would have asked if we could, like, you know, let Meepo see the sun one last time and say goodbye before he, like, stayed or some shit. Taken Meepo out someplace else and fucking ganked Meepo and then moved on with fucking life.
Look, Monoscope, absolutely. Meepo is here. I by the way knocked over my key light, which is why the lighting is not great for me at the moment. And yes, Meepo is one of the most popular NPCs in all of Dungeons and Dragons history. I might go so far as to say he is the single most beloved NPC in all of Dungeons and Dragons, 1st edition to 5th edition. Like, I honestly think he is that guy.
Everyone loves the pathetic kobold. Yes.
Yeah. But like that being said, I would have straight up, if we can't keep him, nobody can keep him.
Yeah, totally.
And just killed him.
And that was intentional. I did that on purpose. If you had failed the challenge at that point, then it would have been so. Okay, all right. Backing up to the beginning, 7 successes versus 3 failures, right? 3 failures means combat, right? If you had failed that roll right before Meepo made that, or right before Nightscale made that offer to Meepo, Meepo would have accepted it, and I know for a goddamn fact that you all would have gone to combat at that point. And I prefer you all going to combat rather than Nightscale choosing to go to combat. So that was my out. If you had failed 3 times, if you had made those 3 failures, then Meepo would have said yes. I will stay with Nightscale, and then you all would have, and I know you all well enough to know you would have done this. You would have gone into initiative, and then combat would have happened. So it would have been a failure, but also a success. I like giving the agency to the players rather than the black dragon suddenly spits acid at you, right? I like the idea of Calder going, no, I'm gonna fucking throw a fireball at this bitch ass, rather than letting Meepo stay. And I know you all well enough, and I know all my viewers well enough to know that Meepo is the ultimate in emotional manipulation. I've used Meepo to manipulate you all emotionally at least 3 times up to this point, probably more than that. So yes, my idea there was if you failed 3 times, Meepo would give himself up, and if you let him give himself up, then I would have given you a 4th failure before combat happened. I didn't think that would happen, but I was giving you that option.
Well, I'm happy it didn't come to that, but I caught something.
What was that?
Because that wasn't, we very technically we did fail 3 times because Kreetha failed her con check that you explicitly called out as counting in the count.
Yes, I did.
But you made a twist on it.
Because I'm a piece of shit.
Well, because you said, Black
Jeff,
Dragons
finish your thought because you're
pain.
right. Jeff, finish your thought.
So because Black Dragons delight in pain, because Kreetha failed her con check to resist pain, it counted as a success because it was giving the dragon what it wanted, something groveling in front of it in pain.
Yes, it did. And if Kreetha had passed that Constitution check, I would have asked Jen, how do you react to this? And if Jen had been stoic, that would have been the third failure. Yes, you're absolutely right. I threw that curveball at you because I know I know you all, and I know that you can handle that. And I Jeff, you mentioned that out of character right at the get-go. So yeah.
I'm just like,
And
But
and
yes.
I love having a social skill challenge that is every bit as satisfying, both mechanically and from a role-playing perspective, as a combat, right? That was essentially a social combat, and you all fucking failed so hard right at the beginning, and then never failed again after that. Even though, like you said, Jeff, Kreetha's failure wasn't actually a failure. You all like were against the ropes right at the beginning. I did not obviously plan this. This is randomized. I did not expect you all to fail your very first goddamn throws.
Right? The dice were not with us at the beginning.
But they were at the end. And again, your role play is just superlative. I knew that I could give you all these advantages because I knew that you would bring your A game to this, and you did not disappoint. You all killed it. What other questions do we have?
Importantly, we didn't kill it. It's still alive. It's still
You killed, yes.
But fortunately, that's
In the metaphorical sense.
But that's a dwarven army's problem.
Okay,
Now
so
we all
next
smell like
question.
Go ahead.
No, continue.
I was like, and now we all smell like a black dragon? Was that what was implied by the going through the waters?
Kind
the
of,
way that-
yeah. Being in a black dragon's like lake definitely means that you're gonna get some of his scent on you.
So kind of like how Nightscale could still smell Calcrix on Meepo. Even though it's been like a year.
I admit, that was a bit of a ad lib on my part, because I feel like kobolds should take on something of
Some
the dragon
signifier
that they
magically.
Yeah, something of the dragon that they serve, right?
It is implied by the magics in the write-up of the kobolds is that the kobolds do take on mannerisms and traits of the dragons they serve, and Meepo spent the most time with Calcrix compared to his entire tribe.
That's exactly what I was going for. Yes. So like when Nightscale said that you have the stink of another dragon on you, he wasn't speaking literally. He wasn't like, I can smell the ichor of some other dragon on you. It was more like, oh yeah, you serve someone else. And again, to be perfectly clear, only your successes at that point stopped Meepo from saying, yes, I will stay here with you. I know that it seemed a little bit like NPC versus NPC at that point, and I know that kind of feels a little bit off, but it wasn't. It was literally because of your successes that it turned out the way that it did. That was a cutscene, but it was a cutscene that was determined by your actions, your successes, your failures. Yeah, and that last goddamn roll,
a 1 and
was
a 19, just
amazing. Amazing. The fact that you rolled a 1, and because you had advantage, you managed to overcome that 1.
There's no way of knowing what if I rolled 1. There's no way of knowing which of those if we're accepting that as like what I would have rolled. But with the advantage, I had that level of a gap.
Oh, for sure.
It's like the dice gods wanted us to have a dramatic end. And the dice gods have been really good to us all as a whole when it comes to drama. Like from the beginning of the Sunless Citadel, the dice have made for an excellent story all the way through. There have been very few times where you had a die roll and like, who fucking cares what happened?
But that was good. That was sincerely good, and it, like on a story level, opens up night scale to be used elsewhere in the future for other reasons.
And you all know that I never, ever, ever leave an NPC completely fallow, right? I might let them sit for a little bit, but I'm never gonna leave an NPC to fade away forever.
I mean, we just have to collect all the different colors of dragons to, at some point later, come and fuck with us. We have white and black now.
You're getting there.
And then we after we collect all five, we then have to collect the metallics. So
the metallics are easier though because they generally don't want to murder you instantaneously.
I really need to get you a copy of Fizban's Guide to Dragons because it gives a lot of really good ways of using metallic dragons as antagonists, even in good campaigns.
It's on the list. As Gale knows, I have used metallic dragons to excellent effect in the past. In the Storm King's Thunder campaign that we ran, we had both a silver dragon and a bronze dragon that were integral to the story, but that's not what we're talking about right now. Yes. Are there any other questions in chat that we haven't addressed yet?
So we'll start with the one to me, which is, why did I yeet the whistle to remove it as a character temptation? No, I yeeted it because Kreitha wanted me to.
Ah.
Mm-hmm.
Does Lore regret that?
No, why would Lore regret that? Lore has absolutely no concept of emotions right now.
And also, like, we are, to be fair, like, necromancy, again, good and evil in real life are wibbly-wobbly, right? But in the world of Faerun, necromancy is explicitly evil.
Just like enchantment.
Yeah, and removing it is a good plan. It's a good plan.
But now it's in the hand of a dragon.
And some transmutation.
There's a lot of
magic is evil. Magic is evil.
It is weird that enchantment and like removing other people's consent isn't considered explicitly evil. Like domination is considered evil.
I'm gonna pitch humans as a race, neutral evil, just in general.
Like the suggestion spell isn't considered to be an evil spell, where, I mean, domination is, right? Because, like, domination allows you to, like, make someone else hurt themselves. But, like, I agree that anything that takes away the consent of somebody else is inherently evil.
I would love to not have a moral conversation right now.
Fair enough.
Let's not dive into that.
Fair enough.
Because it's, like, after midnight in some parts of
parts of the world,
like the one I live in, for instance. So yeah, no, Lore is personally of the mindset of everybody and everything is disposable. I'd rather make friends than enemies, but everyone and everything is disposable.
Well, fair enough.
Even me can only dispose me once, in a very Charlie and the Chocolate Factory way. Question for everyone is eatable. Some people only eatable one.
Edible.
We're talking about cannibalism.
No. Eatable is the actual line. A question for Olivia. How does it feel to get some use out of an oil of an etherealness for the first time in forever?
I had that thing since the beginning, and this whole time I was like, I can't use it during combat. We haven't really had an obstacle we couldn't pass by, and so I finally was like, hey, I can offer it to the dragon as loot, and it could finally be useful.
We could have used it to get into the forge door.
But again, like, there hasn't been an obstacle we haven't been able to get past by other means.
Yeah, but, like, we could have used it there.
Also, it's a one-time use magic item. It's just, like, honestly, if it's exchanging a potion as a bribe, it's fine.
Right,
Yeah.
it's a high-level potion, but...
And it gave you the ability to pass that particular...
Because that was the third roll.
That would have been the third failure. And if you had... Because I gave you a +5 and an advantage because you gave up such a powerful magical item. If you had failed that, then there would have been no further drama. It would have been immediately into initiative, acid breath. Like,
Yeah.
so it definitely had an excellent use here. Not the use that it was necessarily intended for, but who cares? I don't care what it was meant to do. I care about what it can do. That was an Apollo 13 reference.
It got us past an obstacle, so I guess it kind of did its thing.
And that last question of why shouldn't I kill you once you get into my power that was the final checkpoint, as it were. If you had failed that, you wouldn't have known that you failed that. You would have gotten into the water, you would have started going, and the moment you were in a place where you couldn't reach the surface anymore, that's when combat would have started. And it would have been a nightmare.
And fighting
None of
underwater,
our weapons are
fighting
none of our
underwater
weapons are
without the
designed
past
for underwater,
water,
so it's disadvantage for every swing.
Yes,
Yeah.
and yes. Both of you are correct. It would have been a goddamn nightmare.
I mean, it wouldn't have changed things for Charlotte. Magic be magic.
And it could have ended up in a TPK. And if it ended up in a TPK, I have the next bit of story ready to go. And I'm ready to have an entirely new party come in. I want to make it clear here to everybody, viewers and players, that I was willing to kill every single one of you in this encounter and start fresh. I was willing to let the Forge of Fury end.
Module all over again?
No.
Oh no!
I was willing to let the Forge of Fury end with all of you failing, and then the new party comes in with Barnabas at the head. Like, I was ready for that. I had plans for that, and I'm glad it didn't happen. But I was ready. Not the whole Forge, no, because the Forge at that point would have been under the control of either the dragon or the orcs. And you would have had to probably... It wouldn't have been the dungeon crawl into the Forge of Fury. It would have been a battle against the other forces that you have. Like, dealing with an entrenched enemy rather than an enemy that just now managed to find the Forge. Yeah, it would have been a nightmare. But I'm glad it didn't work out that way.
But yes.
Okay, I'm gonna ask. Night scale. Adult dragon? Young dragon?
Night scale is a young dragon. Okay. CR7 to your level 5. Oh, and speaking of which, you all level up. I mentioned that before. But yes, he was a young dragon, whereas Calcrix was a wormling when you fought her. An adult dragon would have murdered you without any compunction. An adult dragon would not have been even a snack to an adult dragon at this point. I think an adult black dragon is CR14.
I'm always a snack.
I think an adult I think a young adult black dragon is like CR9, and like an adult black dragon is CR14. Yeah, that's way beyond your scope. Do we have any other questions that we want to address before we go into the what did you have fun with / nods?
What is planned generally for next for 2 weeks from today? Let me check a thing real quick, which is the Tuesday after Christmas.
So the next session is going to involve the party dragging themselves out of the lake.
Okay.
Probably having some talks, I imagine, and then rejoining with the folks that they already know back at either the town or somewhere else. Because you left the dragon alive, the Forge of Fury will not necessarily be exclusively owned by the orcs. If you had killed the dragon, the orcs would have taken the Forge, and then it would have been absolutely a siege to try to get it back. Since the dragon is still alive, the Forge is not necessarily going to belong to one or the other going forward. You are all going to have to decide, is it worthwhile to take the forge, or do you have to maybe just deal with the orcs? I happen to know that at least one of you has a character in mind who is a spirit of the land, and that character is very much going to be interested in fucking killing all the orcs that are destroying all of the trees in the area. So that seems to be where we're probably going in the immediate future. None of you like used detect magic on the forge, so none of you realized the artifact level magic that you were dealing with.
Oh, I assumed that there's artifact level magic there.
Yeah.
What would we do?
None of you
can't.
confirmed the artifact level magic that you're dealing with. So
Clock
It's like a
is
50-50
magical,
chance,
but-
though. Meh.
So going forward, the idea is going to be this is a magical artifact that can create magical items, and who gets to control it. And
Okay.
it's going to kind of be a battle of five armies kind of thing, because the Dwerger aren't done yet. That was just their sort of forward scouting party, so the Dwerger are going to be interested, the Drow are going to be interested, Night Scale's going to be interested, the Orcs are going to be interested, and the Dwarves, there's your five armies right there.
Okay, so just for human words clarification here, elevator pitch of the next bit is we are going back into the Forge of Fury to clear out whatever the fuck is in there.
Less that and more, you're going to deal with the army that is currently standing outside the forge.
Okay, so the elevator pitch is congratulations, you have chosen mass combat.
Pretty much.
It's on a bigger scale now.
Yeah, I
Get it?
mean,
Scales.
what's a Dungeons and Dragons game without a little bit of like army versus army combat?
So is next episode going to be like the sort of end chapter and epilogue for the Forge of Fury story?
And then depending on how long that takes, we'll see how far we go after that. I know that some folks might be changing characters, some folks might, have some story stuff to do. So we'll do a quick epilogue, and we will decide where to go from there. Honestly, for the last several weeks, I've been really burned out on this game, and that's because I've had so much shit going on at work and other stuff. But these last two sessions have really reignited my interest in this campaign. So I'm looking forward to coming up with something. It's been a while since I've done any sort of homebrew kind of campaign, and I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Speaking of fun, should we talk about what we had fun with?
Yes, let's go ahead and start with you, Gail. What did you have fun with, and what is a player character you would like to nod?
I really had fun getting to put Charlotte deeper and deeper into the water. Like, my goal was that she would be the first target if it did turn to combat, and I liked playing with that and dunking her head under the water once the dragon had mentioned coming into my domain, kind of teasing that line a bit, trying to pull attention away. So that was a fun thing that I was trying to incorporate in the scene, and I feel like the tension was there, so that was something I had fun with. And I do want to give a nod to Lore's dedication to not showing anyone reverence of the yeet and the nah, bruh.
Not fam.
Nah, fam. just that level of everyone else is groveling and that sort of thing, and Laura's like, this is me groveling. It's not that different.
Oh, I actually had a thing
that.
if somebody made me try to talk.
I love it. Jeff, what's something you had fun with? What is somebody you want to nod?
I had fun with the persuasion checks. I got to play up the grandiose speech at your encouragement because I wasn't sure how much I should go in on that. But flexing my grandiloquence for dealing with a dragon is always fun.
like I said,
Calder,
you and I
Calder
have,
meant none of it. He absolutely does not respect this
of course not.
But but critically he does recognize, like, yeah, it could eat me, and I'm generally going to not try not to piss off the thing that can eat me. So,
But yeah, like I said, you and I have role played together for over a decade. I knew you had it in you, and you did exactly what I hoped you would do, and I really appreciated it, and I think it brought a lot to the game.
Thank you. As for a person I would like to nod, I do want to nod Gail for some truly excellent and cutting insights that to needle the dragon and to specifically disrupt its own train of thought, to weaponizing its own. It's in the same way that we were bouncing its attention between all of us in such a way that it never like found a favorite until it found Kreetha and then later Meepo. And therefore, like that no one person was like hyper focused on it, but by it, so it couldn't. And when it did finally hyper focus, we pulled it away from it. What you did was great and definitely deserves complimentary.
I also need to have a lozenge at some point after that dragon voice. Jeff, you have interacted with a character that I played before that had a voice that was even more gravelly than that.
Yeah, and it wrecked your voice every night, dude.
Every single night I was I can't talk at the end. Em, let's talk about what you had fun with, and who do you want to nod?
Let's see. Actually, I wanna nod Kreetha.
Mm-hmm.
Just for being Kreetha. Come on now. Just like I appreciated the like, let's fight a thing, let's do a thing. I also wanna nod like Charlotte for being like, don't fuck this up. Don't fuck it up.
It's like
what did I enjoy? I did murder. It was really good murder. Yep. Murder.
You did, and it was very good murder, and you avoided having to do murder at the end.
Was
when
less
it was
happy
really
about that.
important.
Was less happy about that.
You got a little bit of murder
for a treat.
And who knows, maybe we'll run into some orcs at the beach edge of this lake we're at.
Possibly.
And with that, I'm going to talk about a little bit about what I had fun with. I have been looking forward to this encounter, obviously, since the very beginning. There were two encounters that I knew would be iconic in this campaign. And the first one was the Roper, and it was. And the second one was this dragon, and it was, for very different reasons. Like, this dragon could have ended up being a TPK, it could have ended up killing another character. Like, a young black dragon's breath averages out at like 49 points of damage.
Yo.
So any one of you would have been dropped if you had failed a saving throw against the black dragon's breath weapon. And that sort of Damocles over you as you were doing this negotiation, especially as you obviously and clearly failed your first two attempts to negotiate with it. I did not pull any punches here. I want to make it clear. I've got a list next to me of all of the DCs of all of the various skills you could have used, and you failed the first two, and you succeeded on every one after that. And I'm really glad that it went the way that it did. The combat would have been epic. If we had to go to rolls, it would have been really good. We would have had a really great time. I know you all would have probably beaten it, but with serious losses. However, I'm really glad that it worked out the way it did. I have to nod all four of you, obviously. Kreetha for just not understanding magic.
It's very good.
Just not, like, the most basic spells. Like, Unseen Servant is almost a cantrip. I know it's a first level spell, but it's almost a cantrip for most for most,
The only
like,
reason it's not a cantrip is because Mage Hand exists.
yes, most first level wizards cast Unseen Servant as a ritual. It's basically a cantrip, and yet Kritha was like, what the fuck is happening here?
Yes.
And I loved that. And I loved how, Gale, I loved how Charlotte was willing to put herself directly into harm's way, either because she was being altruistic or because she believes in her own invincibility, given given
Still hasn't.
how things
She
have
made it
gone.
through the entire forge, and she didn't take damage from a single adversary.
Yes, the
Uh,
only person
hey.
that damaged Charlotte is
Was Charlotte.
Charlotte.
Same.
So
Calder hasn't been touched.
so it was really good to see Charlotte like put herself forward, especially since everyone's been really protective of her. And she's like, no, I'm gonna get into the water with the goddamn dragon and put myself on the line. And I really appreciated that. Calder, I saw that you were on the edge of calling for initiative this entire goddamn conversation.
I was very much sincere. The moment, like, if Mio said, "I will join you," the next word out of my mouth was going to be initiative.
Yes, I loved, like, obviously as a DM, I knew that all of your flowery words were complete fucking bullshit, and I loved seeing that. I loved seeing Calder, who has admittedly, kind of in some points, either had a hard time keeping a control of his temper or shutting down when things get really rough, like stepping forward and being the main face, the main person to try to deal with this fucking dragon. And again, your roleplay is superlative as always.
Superlative means unnecessary, sir.
Superb is what I meant to say, not superlative.
Thank you.
Superb,
I mean,
as always.
it was a little extra.
Sometimes, but
It was.
I liked the extra.
But you're correct that superb
doubt
is the
you
word I
meant
was
it
looking
in the
for.
I doubt you meant it that way.
And
So,
When confronting a
I-
dragon, it's the time to be extra.
yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That said, like, I to respect the person who exists on the East Coast, we should probably wrap this up.
and
I'm fine.
I love lore, and I know you might not be playing lore in too many future games, but I really enjoyed, like, lore giving kind of almost offhand comments at the dragon and having them work. Like, you're like, nah, fam, and then you rolled really well, and the dragon was like, okay, I guess you're right, nah, fam, and like, again, the willingness to immediately go into violence, but also the ability, being a warlock with your charisma, to talk things down if absolutely necessary, or talk things up if absolutely necessary, has been absolutely fantastic. And if this had come to a fight with the dragon, I have no doubt that Lore would have been the first to dive into the water and immediately begin chippity chopping. I also really appreciated the whole, oh hey, here's a really powerful magical item that seems to be coming toward my hand. Nah, absolutely not. Nope. Hey, Nightscale, do you see how I'm not touching this thing? Do you see
how I'm not picking up the thing that's very actively trying to get me to pick it up?
Do you see how I'm not and I reward you with that by having the sword kind of follow you through the trip to the lake. But like I loved the whole, this sword is clearly coming to my hand. Nah, I'm not even going there.
Yep.
No, fuck it. I'm not messing this up for everybody else. And Lore is the kind of person who has, in the past, to be fair, messed things up for everybody else. So this was a really good time to be like, no, Charlotte said don't do the thing. I ain't gonna do the thing.
It's always fun that way.
I appreciate the fuck
dragon's gonna
out
be-
of all of you. Okay, let's do some plugs and then we're gonna finish up. M, where can people find you, follow you, experience you?
I'm on one silver key here, there, and everywhere. If you see a one silver key, it's probably me.
I'm gonna go ahead and make sure to put this into the thing as well.
On if you're a Twitch person, I do Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 7 p.m. Eastern time, which is a number earlier than that in a different part of the country. I do a Saturday thing too, but if you come to see any of my streams, I usually talk about it at both the top and the bottom. So
fantastic. Jeff, where can folks find you, follow you, and experience your artwork?
You can find me on Instagram and on TikTok at Still Tired and Angry, which is just me.
It's the best. I can't even believe that name was.
It was available. And I'm not going to ask it. I'm not going to question it.
Still Tired and Angry on TikTok, and is it just TikTok
Instagram.
or is it Instagram as well?
Instagram as well.
Beautiful. Now, Gail, normally you are mysterious and unknowable. However, I'm pretty sure you've been making some artwork for this that you want people to follow. Where are you at?
You can find the artwork that's associated with this campaign at A Measure of Separation at Tumblr.
Is that how you spell separation?
Is that how I spell separation?
I think it's P-A-R.
Is that how I spelled it? That might be how I spelled it in the Tumblr name.
Fair enough.
But it's mostly just stuff about my previous character from the previous campaign, Echo, but occasionally I'll post things about the current stuff as well.
You should also totally post stuff from Storm King's Thunder.
Yeah, that's
how I spelled it.
Right.
Yeah.
Fair enough. With that, friends, it's been 3.5 hours. It's been an absolutely spectacular session. It's been a great module. It's been a great campaign. I can't even begin to thank my players enough. I can't begin to thank my viewers enough. We're going to go ahead and end here before I get too gushy over all the wonderful folks who have supported us at this point. You can find me on Twitch and Twitter at MathDemigod. You can also, once I finally manage to record the Lost session, which is the thing we'll talk about later, you can find all of the VODs of this particular stream at youtube.com/gamingmathematically, where I also put all of my VODs of other campaigns like my XCOM campaign and probably other stuff in the future. Thank you all for being here. I really appreciate you. We're done here. We will be here in 2 weeks from today. Unless things change, we will let you know. Have a great night, friends.
Bye.
Bye-bye.